What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are excited because the Dallas Cowboys won on Sunday, which means tomorrow, Monday, is Victory Polo Monday. The first one of the season. The Cowboys are 1-0, and they beat somebody in the season opener that was not the New York Giants. It really is a Christmas miracle. Now, before we get into the game, this is our post-game show here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. We're on the way to 30,000 subscribers, so please, if you haven't yet, consider subscribing right down below. Please also check out bloggingtheboys.com. You can read all my work there, all the work of our talented staff, 24/7, 365, or in this leap year, as I like to say, 366. If you like what I do, you can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at RJ Ochoa, or on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. And my social channels is where I kind of want to start with in a weird way. Before we get right into the game, I do want to apologize to those of you who were looking for the live post-game show. I've talked about this in the last, whatever it's been at this point, 5 months, I think, since our podcast network was shut down. That affects our live shows, and I've tried to do everything I can to blast everywhere I can that, we're still in the process. And I know it's a frustrating thing to hear because it's the season already. The Cowboys are 1-0. Dak has his extension and things like that. Our live shows are impacted by that. And it bothers me that in general, but to be straight up with you, and I will always be, because you give me your time, and that is the most valuable resource that you have in this life, that we all have in this life. It bothers me in a general sense, but specifically because I know that it's not practical or reasonable to expect every single one of you, whoever you are that's watching this video, to follow me everywhere and see all my tweets or see all my posts, whatever the case may be. And so you may not have known. That's why I wanted to start with the social channels, because I had so many people reach out to me in the immediate aftermath of the game. Are you going live? Is the live show on? Whatever, because you obviously did not hear this news or see this news over the last few months. I know some people, check out in the off season or whatever. And so I'm sorry if you were looking for this. I'm sorry to ask you to do something differently. I'm sorry to ask you to expect something differently. I'm sorry to ask you, if you're a podcast listener, to come to the YouTube channel. I know it is difficult to ask you to do and operate and approach something differently than the way you have for a very long time. And if you have been here for a very long time, you mean the world to me. And so please accept my most sincere apologies. This is the plan for now, and it is something I work on changing every day. But for now, as I check on the Houston Astros off on my iPad here, the plan is recorded videos. That is the plan here on our YouTube channel. That includes our post-game show, my post-game show that I still do. It is the post-game here. It's just a recorded show. It's not live. I will also have day after the game videos that you can check out as well. I'll have videos all throughout the week with discussion, assessment, analysis, interviewing people, opposing viewpoints, obviously, on the game that is coming up for the Cowboys. I interviewed my coworker, Jared Mueller, this past week. He covers the Browns. We'll have somebody who covers the Saints this coming week. The Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites, by the way, for that game. So that's my just kind of opening monologue, and I'm sorry that it's not about the game or anything like that. I just had so many people reach out, and I wanted to make sure that you understood that you were heard and you were seen, and that your kind of opinion on all this, if you want to call it that, is valuable to the highest degree for me. But there's no easy way to segue into talking about a game. So let's celebrate. The Dallas Cowboys won. They're 1-0, 33-17, the final score, as I look up to see how the Lions are doing here. It's still 3-3. We'll see if Jahmyr Gibbs is able to get into the end zone in a moment. But 33-17, and I know that a lot of people made a big deal about the fact that the Cowboys kind of slowed up things on offense in the second half. I don't really have an issue with that. If you look at this, I'm trying to get to halftime here specifically. Right around halftime, Cowboys had an 89% win probability. And this is, by the way, shout out to NFL Pro. NFL Pro Premium is what I have. If you are interested in subscribing, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. I love this new platform, this new subscription. I used it all day long for the Red Zone channel. You get that if you get NFL Pro Premium. You get access to these exact statistics that I'm looking at here. But the Cowboys had an 89% win probability at halftime. So I've got zero issue with them taking their foot off the gas, whatever the case may be. And I know that we have some hardos that are going to say things like, "Oh, well, you gotta win, you gotta play hard, Dak got his deal, and blah blah." Dude, I agree with you, but you cannot avenge the playoff loss to Green Bay in a week 1 game against the Browns. You cannot get out of the 30-year shadow in a week 1 game against the Browns. What you can do is you can win, you can hopefully stay healthy. And thankfully, at this moment, as I look around all my devices here, it seems like everything could be okay with Jake Ferguson, or at least the Cowboys avoided the worst possible case scenario with Jake Ferguson. So the goal is to win, and the Cowboys did that. They accomplished that. And did they not have as much style in the second half? Sure, I would agree with that, but I would think that's because they had an enormous amount of style in the first half. The Cowboys were awesome. I was going to say awful. They were awesome in the first half. The first possession, if we kind of look at things here, the play-by-play. Here we go. From a possession standpoint, kind of boring, kind of dreary. They had the penalty initially on with Jalen Tolbert, then had the Dak sack, and it looked like it was going to be a long day at the office. And then Cleveland got the ball and put up a field goal, right? And it looked like, oh man, this could be really, really rough. But then Dallas moves down the field, and we get the Brandon Cooks touchdown that was amazing. I don't know anybody that thought Brandon Cooks was going to be the first touchdown scorer of the year, but Dak Prescott, the Browns were stupid enough to send an all-out blitz, and he made them pay. And then it just kept kind of working and working and working for the Cowboys before, out of nowhere, Zeke Elliott looks like the youngest version of himself that we've ever seen. Zeke looked good, and I will eat some crow because I did not think this was going to work out, and it's only one game, but Zeke looked awesome, and it did, tug at my sports heart when he and Dak hugged in the end zone. It was an awesome moment. That gave the Cowboys a lead that, felt really comfortable right then, even when it was 14-3. And then, the crazy, just kind of barrage of the Browns falling apart happened. I mean, the offense for Cleveland couldn't do anything. Dallas goes down, and Brandon Aubrey, boom, just, easy field goal, 57 yards, like it's no sweat. And then out of nowhere, we get the Eric Kendricks interception because Micah Parsons is awesome. We get another field goal. It's 20-3. We get to halftime, and I can't believe we didn't get to see the 66 or 71-yard attempts from Brandon Aubrey. Either of them would have been awesome. But I mean, the Cowboys were just kind of in cruise control, and I've got no real issue with that. If we look at the game deeply here, and again, this is why this subscription is amazing. Let's look at DeMarcus Lawrence. I think you can see this. Let me check this. You can. I think you can see it well if you need to pause, obviously. I also shared these clips on social media, or these photos if you need to look at them. DeMarcus Lawrence was in his bag. 8 pressures, 2 sacks across 39 pass rushes. That's 20% of the time, north of 20% of the time that he was generating pressure, which was the most in a single game for DeMarcus Lawrence since week 5 of 2020, almost 4 full years ago. We don't talk about that game in Dallas Cowboys franchise history, and the real ones know why. But that was DeMarcus Lawrence. Micah Parsons, on the other hand, 9 pressures and a single sack, didn't get 2 on 46 pass rushes. So think about that. DeMarcus Lawrence was generating pressure at a higher clip than Micah Parsons, which means you're in some seriously pristine company. Now, I don't have, and this article isn't out yet at the time that I'm putting this video together, I don't have DeMarcus Lawrence as a stock up. I might add him before it's all said and done, but Micah Parsons was amazing. Eric Kendricks was awesome. DeMarvion Overshown, holy crap, the closing speed that we saw from him on his sack, and even after that, was amazing. And I think I've got to give Mike Zimmer some props and the Cowboys some props for believing in it, because if you watch these videos, you know that I did not believe. I did not think this was going to click. And it is important to contextualize the whole situation and whole kind of thing and say it was, week 1. It was, and even if it wasn't week 1, even if it was week 14, it was a single game, and it was a single game against an offense that has struggled for the most part in the era that they are in with the quarterback who they currently have in Deshaun Watson. I don't say that to take away from what the Cowboys did, but I just say that to contextualize it, right? Because that's the whole point, is understanding what we're looking at and how we're kind of thriving. And similarly, the Cowboys offense, yeah, it sputtered a little bit in the second half, but it was going up against arguably the best defense in the NFL, at least on paper, based off of last year's results. We have no idea what this year has in store. So, I mean, they deserve an enormous amount of credit. Stock up Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Zeke Elliott and Brandon Cooks even. I thought Jalen Tolbert didn't get as many opportunities as I would have envisioned, just kind of based on all the training camp hype, but he was awesome in the very small moments as well. Jake Ferguson looked great, obviously, before the injury, and again, we hope he's all right. It was not the best debut ever for Tyler Guyton or for Cooper Beebe, but again, context matters in that they were going up against a highly ferocious pass rush. And so this was a win in every single sense for me, in my mind, in my assessment, especially because it was coming in the immediate hours after the Dak Prescott extension was announced. And I know a lot of you didn't want Dak Prescott to be extended, and I don't say this to argue with you or anything like that. But for those of you who do, I think you can empathize with this. And now I'm kind of talking to those of you who didn't. For those of us who did want the Cowboys to take care of this whole, this is my opinion, and if you agree with me, that's great. But for me, from the moment they lost to Green Bay, not even the moment they lost, from the moment it was like 20-0 or whatever it was, from that moment, there has been like a cloud. I mean, a cloud hindering our ability to enjoy football, enjoy the Dallas Cowboys. And, typically when something like that happens to an NFL team, there are ways that front offices or coaching staffs or changes or whatever happen that alleviate that pressure, right? And we did not have that, right? Like we did not have it. They didn't go do something big in free agency. They didn't have this massive, draft kind of moment. Yes, did we like the class? Obviously, they didn't sign any superstars to extensions, obviously, throughout the major course of the offseason and training camp of the preseason. And then they had the all in and they pushed and all this stuff. And so it just kind of stuck. It was stuck. And so the CD Lamb thing was just kind of like, like when you poke a hole in like a baked potato so it can cool off before you eat it, right? You want that pressure to kind of dissipate. The CeeDee Lamb kind of did that, but the Dak deal was kind of cutting the potato in half, and it was like, it was just this incredible sigh of relief, and it just, I think it gave us, again, the people I'm talking about, if you put yourself in this camp with me, this freedom and this allowance to finally enjoy football again, and to not that we weren't allowed to, but it was impossible relative to the kind of toxicity that this whole team had kind of been swirling in for the last 6 months. So for that to kind of be the case, to finally find El Dorado, to finally, take a sip of water after, being so parched, to quench that thirst was just such a big thing. And then for them to look so good, for Dak to look good, for CeeDee to look amazing right away, for Zeke to find his own fountain of youth. I mean, for the defense to dominate, despite the change, from Dan Quinn to Mike Zimmer. I mean, it really just kind of was the perfect debut, the perfect week 1 game. And I don't say that to overreact. I don't say that to say like this team is definitely winning the Super Bowl, but I say that to say, if you're not giving Mike McCarthy credit at this point in time, I don't think you're being fair. I think you're, in fact, being ignorant, because if you are here, if you're on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, if you're following me, you are, and I don't say this to say I'm awesome, but you're a highly educated Dallas Cowboys fan. You're somebody who is seeking extracurricular information, right? And extracurricular content about the team you love. And so you are well versed in this subject matter. You understand the material to a thorough degree. And so that being said, if you understand the material to a thorough degree, you know that this is not normal. You know that the Cowboys don't, generally thrive well in these toxic sort of situations. We have equated the game that the Cowboys just played many times to the 2022 season opener. The first game, ironically, without Amari Cooper, given that he was on the opposing sideline today. The first game without Lyle Collins, without Randy Gregory. And all those chickens came home to roost in that game. And Dak Prescott broke his thumb, and it was just complete and total, damage in every single sense. Tom Brady was there too. In fact, obviously, he was the opposing quarterback for the Buccaneers that night. So this was different. And I think that Mike McCarthy deserves a lot of credit for that. I've said that many times. I think he deserves a lot of credit for steadying the ship throughout the CeeDee contract stuff, the holdout for the Dak contract stuff, for the Micah stuff that never really became stuff, but is stuff. You know what I mean? For the all in, for the constant comments, for the LOL tweet, throughout camp, for just the never ending circus. And then for being in a contract year himself. I mean, to come out and not just have the team organized as the head coach, but have the offense have success again against one of the better defenses in the NFL as the offensive play caller. I mean, the dude deserves a lot of props in my mind. There are not a lot of people who would be able to do that successfully, and I think that Mike McCarthy deserves a lot of credit. So he gets a stock up for me as well. Kevontae Turpin gets a stock up. Finally had a return touchdown, first time in his Dallas Cowboys career, although it was on a punt, not a kickoff. I don't think any of us would have predicted it. The first Cowboys punt return for a touchdown since Ryan Switzer in late 2017. It's a bit of a throwback for those of you who are educated. Speaking of, almost as long as I've been doing this, but not quite. It was only the second time in Dallas Cowboys franchise history that we got a punt return for a touchdown in week 1 of the season. So it was kind of important. It was just, again, it was, I say this a lot, this analogy, and this wasn't quite this, but it was like that Madden game where, your quarterback throws for 300 and your running back runs for 100 and your top receiver, goes for 100 receiving yards. If you're playing college football, it's like getting all the recruits you want and then beating the crap out of Michigan. If you are Ohio State in your dynasty, like I am, it's no big deal. Won the first national championship, just telling you what happened. These are just facts. Anyway, it was perfect. Now the Cowboys have a chance to, get to 2-0 and set themselves up for the really, really, really big game against the Baltimore Ravens. And we're going to see a lot of this Fox broadcasting crew. They said that they're going to be doing those 2 games, but the Cowboys, I don't know if I mentioned this at the top. I've been all over the place doing things already. Like I said, I did a post-game stream with the Bleacher Report app. It was super fun, but Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites against New Orleans. So they're probably going to get to 2-0. And they got to 2-0 last year and then lost in week 3 against a Bird team. Shout out to the Bird Gauntlet. But the Baltimore Ravens definitely look beatable, right? It's not to take them lightly or anything like that, but if they get there, right? If they just get there, and as I say this, by the way, Detroit's now up 10-3. I don't know exactly how they scored because my eyes have been on you. But these are the next 5 games for the Cowboys through the bye. The time that I personally think Deron Bland will miss. Trayvon Diggs, stock up, by the way, gets his first interception in his first game back. Or not first interception, but his first. You get my point. Anyway, Cowboys are 1-0. They got the Saints on Sunday. Easy dub. They get the Ravens a week after that. We think they should win that game, right? I'm interested to see what the line will be. They get the Giants on the road after that. It's on Thursday night, so that changes the math just a little bit, but I think we expect them to win. Then they get a little kind of mini bye, and they visit the Pittsburgh Steelers. Should be an easy win. And then they get these Lions that I'm talking about, who are up 10-3 at this moment in time. I mean, I'm not trying to, put the horse in front of the cart or whatever it is, the cart in front of the horse or whatever, but they could be 5-1. I mean, they're really good. Like, that's not without the realm or out of the realm of possibility at this point in time. This looked like one of the very best teams in the NFL, with one of the best coaches in the NFL, with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, with one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, with one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, with 2 of the best pass rushers in the NFL, with one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, with, I don't know, one of the best linebackers in the NFL, and DeMarvion Overshown. I still can't believe how quickly he closed. So it's one game, and nobody needs to freak out. Nobody needs to jump to conclusions. Nobody needs to, put the cart or the horse in front of whatever. But it was perfect in its own way. And I picked the Cowboys to win. Obviously, if you follow our work at BTB, and I post things all over social and note my picks for each week and things like that. But I did not expect this. I thought they would win kind of like 26-19. I thought it would kind of be slow like that. I definitely did not anticipate this. Now, some of that I think is Cleveland's offense is really, really, really bad. So I hope my boy Jared's doing all right. But this was a thrashing. This was a beatdown. This was a flexing. This was an announcement that we are still a serious team. You can do what you want. You can put us as your A-block headlines on your national talk shows. We're just going to show up. We're going to work. We're going to keep winning football games. We're going to get back to the playoffs. And yeah, we've struck out there time and time again. But maybe this time will be the time that fate smiles upon us. That's just the way that I see it myself. Who is myself? Who am I? Who is me-self? I'm RJ Ochoa. If you haven't yet, please subscribe here to the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. And I don't mean to say this in a super dramatic way or for it to sound super dramatic. It's just the literal truth. If you like what I do, if you like the content that I put out, if you like listening to me talk about the Cowboys, seriously, thank you. I'm very touched by that. But if that is the case, this is the place. This is the place to do it. The place that we're in right here, the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. That is the place to consistently hear, listen to, watch me, RJ Ochoa, talk about the Dallas Cowboys for this season. And as we figure things out, as whenever we figure something out, and I hope that there will be a whenever we do, I promise you, I will blast it all over the place. And that includes the social channels right down below where you can access my content as well. Twitter, Instagram, Threads at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, RJ.Ochoa. If you want to send me an email, that's more your thing. RJ.Ochoa at SBNation.com is how you can do that. You can also leave a comment down below, and I'll do my very best to get to those. If you are a social user, the best way to get me is probably an Instagram DM. A lot of you do that, and I had a lot of those. That's why we had the discussion we did at the top of this video. So, yeah. That's the plan. But it is Victory Polo Monday tomorrow. So take a picture in your polo, your t-shirt, whatever the case may be. Tag me in it, and let's have a great time. The Dallas Cowboys are 1-0, and we crawled through sludge to get here like Andy Dufresne, but we are on the other side. We're headed to Mexico. Is that where he went? I really don't know. I really don't remember. That's on me. But Red's coming too at some point down the line. We are on the way ourselves, 1-0. And it feels incredible. It really does. It is our prize after what we went through this offseason, but we went through together all of this. And most importantly, we made it through together all of this. So congratulations to you, and congratulations to you, and congratulations to you way in the back who's watching it on your TV in your living room. I really appreciate those people as well. It's wild that you would put this mug up on your mantle or whatever the case may be. So hey, everybody, thank you for your support. Thank you for jumping on for another ride that is the 2024 Dallas Cowboys season. I hope it's kind to us all. There will definitely be some moments that aren't. There will definitely be some moments that take our breath away. And hopefully there are some moments that we remember forever, because those are the very best ones. Last thing is I initially recorded the first 5 minutes of this in a separate video, but my dog Honey was squeaking her toy, so I had to redo it. So shout out to Honey. Otherwise, I would have been done 5 minutes earlier. Thank you so much, everybody. Cowboys won. Wonderful time. This was the post game. You are amazing. I love you. Looks like the Rams might score. We'll see what happens. And thanks for hanging out. See you next time.